to Alpha Book Club. Hey there, my name is Maude Garrett. Welcome to our little online book club for all the Alpha members. You there, this is for you. And joining us, this is great that we do this every week talking about books. Hey there, joining me as always, it's Hector Navarro. Hey Hex.
Hey, what's up everybody? How's it going? I like that nickname, Hex.
No one's called you Hex before?
That's a very Australian nickname, I feel like.
In Australia, we do like to abbreviate everyone's name, which is why I was called Maude, because you can't actually abbreviate it unless it's just the letter M.
M. Have they tried M?
I respond to M.
You respond to M?
I respond to a lot of
things. I really appreciate that. Well, here in America, in the United States, no nickname for Hector has ever latched on or ever will. But thank you so much for the effort. Really appreciate it.
Well, Hex in Australia is the debt that you have for your college fees. By the way, Rachel is currently lost in space at the moment, but if you are joining us for the first time, we are finishing up book 1 of The Dark Tower. It's called The Gunslinger. This last chapter wasn't very big at all, so we're going to break it down for you.
Now, whether this is your first time watching or you've been a fan since the very beginning, in which case you'll know this phrase, time to get our wrinkle on, but we want to hear from you, so hit us up in the chat.
We're getting a new one.
Start giving us your thoughts. There's been some fantastic thoughts already. I have to shout out Java Book Geek Girl. Were you tagged on that? Hit us up on Twitter and mentioned how special reading Dark Tower was. I thought it was a beautiful shared story, so thank you so much for doing that on Twitter. That was awesome. Java Book Geek Girl, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do a lot of interactions through Twitter, like the Twitter poll that we have going on right now, where you get to decide what our next book will be. There are our options.
Okay.
The envelope.
I'm ready.
There it is. Catalyst, a Rogue One story. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline.
I've heard of it.
And Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Hey, are you talking about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, like here in America? That sounds great. I like sorcery.
I guess that's the book that I'm talking about. Now, let's kind of talk about these 3 books, because I'm actually not, this isn't an accident, wearing Star Wars on my shirt right now. I am championing Catalyst. I had a lot of friends tell me that Catalyst was imperative reading before Rogue One.
Interesting.
And I didn't get there.
And this is also on purpose. I am definitely sporting a Pikachu wearing a Santa hat, which of course means that I'm hoping Catalyst wins as well. Catalyst, Rogue One. I heard the opposite. I heard that it's not required reading before the film, but that for people that have read that book before they go see the movie this weekend, that it's going to be a little bit richer of an experience because you get some backstory on like Mads Mikkelsen's character, which I loved him in the film. I thought it was great. Both you and I have seen the movie. No spoilers. We're not going to talk about it.
No.
But we were super stoked about it. So that's exciting. But if you've got people saying that it's essential reading,
I mean,
I'm down.
If you're a Star Wars fan and there's a chance for you to have a richer experience, why would you not take it? And I'm kind of upset that I haven't, because I would have liked it richer.
Sure.
But then again, I'm greedy.
Yeah. You're a big Star Wars fan, right?
Huge. I just shot my spoiler review on my site for it, which I have to edit because it's half an hour.
Oh, fantastic. No,
I had a lot to say.
Throw it up there.
I had a lot to say about that.
Leave it. Yeah, the expanded universe is great, and it's back in a big bad way right now with comic books, with novels, everything being canon.
Yes.
However you feel about the new direction that Disney is taking Lucasfilm and Star Wars, at least we're getting this expanded, richer thing that I believe is really cool that the movies are acknowledging as that's canon. The TV shows are canon. Star Wars Rebels is canon. These novels are canon. It's awesome. It's great.
I actually just got by Claudia Gray, Lost Stars, which is another canon Star Wars book, which I've just started on Audible. So, and I love, honestly, the Star Wars books on Audible, they have access to all of the Skywalker Ranch, the audio files. So you hear the vessels, you hear the spaceships, you hear da-da-da, when you're starting the book.
I always put on John Williams or now Michael Giacchino's score when I read that stuff, so that's great, yeah.
Oh, you do like to listen?
Oh, yeah. That's a
you should see me conduct Duel of the Fates one day. It's quite an experience.
Can you conduct it?
Oh, do I?
Okay, good. How? Like
my
with
arms
bodily
get sore.
noises? What do you do?
Oh, it's just a whole movement. Ready Player One is another book that's option. And by the way, jump on Twitter right now. The poll is up there. We are just going to give our thoughts to it, but it does end up, being your choice at the end. Ready Player One is a book that I've read twice and listened to as well. It was written by Ernest Cline and narrated by Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton, who himself is apparently referenced in the book. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, my uncle's in the book referenced.
What?
Yeah, fun fact, my uncle is in a band in Australia called Midnight Oil. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's an 80s band, and they Midnight Oil gets a reference.
I think I know Midnight Oil.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, here we go. All
Fantastic book. It's basically nostalgia porn. So if we get to dissect that for a month, we will just nerd out hard.
Okay, great. And Harry Potter, I've never read it.
That's just...
And you have a tattoo of it, so, right? Don't you have a...
That's a Triforce.
That's a Triforce. What? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the bad guy symbol for Harry Potter.
Oh my God, this is proof that he has no idea what he's talking about.
You know the little triangle with the circle
I know exactly what it is because I've not only read all the Harry Potters about 7 times each, but I've watched them all and I've just finished listening to them all on Audible as well. Shout out to Jim Dale, who's got a speech impediment. What?
That's the one with the group that is...
it's the Deathly Hallows.
Crispus Allen is in it. He's in that group. Crispus Allen. Detective Crispus Allen, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Wow. So do you want to make and force Hector to experience Harry Potter for the very first time, which is such a fantastic book to read. I was 13.
Oh, I know.
I'm 30 now.
Like I said when we first started the show, since I missed that whole thing and I felt like I was a little bit too old when those books came out, and a little bit, I think I was a little older than the characters were in the film as the films are coming out.
Yeah.
Regardless, I missed it. When I tell people I haven't read the books yet, they flip out. And I decided at one point, I think I'm going to wait, because I watched all the movies and I enjoy the heck out of them. But I said, I think I'm going to wait until maybe I have a kid one day, and then I'll read the books to that kid as my first time reading it. So when I'll tell that to people, they go, oh, that's really sweet. I would be good. But now I'm like, screw it, I'll read it.
I'm actually going to wreck that idea for you as well, because my mum decided to do exactly that. Read it to me, you know, we have like a bonding experience, and then the problem was she would sneak off and finish the book. Yeah, because she couldn't actually wait until the next night to read. So there you go. So cast your vote right now. I think at the moment, Ready Player One is winning, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So could be Catalyst, could be the Sorcerer's Adventure.
The Philosopher's Journey. Yeah.
Whatever it is. But of course, this is our very, very last episode where we are talking about The Gunslinger, Stephen King's novel from the Dark Tower. How many? 7 books?
I think so. 7 books. Real quick in the chat, Thierry F2104 says, in French, the first Harry Potter book translation translates to Harry Potter at the Sorcerer's School.
Oh, that's kind of cool as well. That makes sense.
That makes sense. That's a good title. I like that. That's great.
Ooh. Cool. I have the illustrated version of Sorcerer's Stone. The artwork is gorgeous, says Java Book Geek Girl.
I only see the illustrated version of Chamber of Secrets in stores, and I haven't seen the illustrated one for Sorcerer, so that will be cool.
I love the adults version as well. I wanted to buy both.
You know what's really funny is the guy who plays Draco Malfoy, I'm blanking on that actor's name. Tom Felton is in The Flash right now.
Yes, he is.
And his character is all about the Philosopher's Stone. Because there's in Flash canon, there's like a villain that is powered by something called the Philosopher's Stone, written in the 50s, like it's old, and they just happened to cast him, and it's this little nod.
They didn't just happen to do that. Are you kidding me? That was not an accident.
Like, who could we get? We got Tom Felton. We got to fix. Oh my gosh, there's a Philosopher's Stone in Flash comics. We have to put that in there. It's great.
Oh well, if it keeps getting him work, good on him, I say. So let's have a little chat about previously on. This is where we get you up to speed on what happened before this last chapter. If you're like me, you read that last little chunk twice, thinking it was the end of the book. So this is where we said goodbye in a pretty brutal and emotionless way to Jake. And I say it was emotionless, but very emotional for the reader.
Yes, perfectly said, Maude. It was emotionless, it was cold, it was distant, it was disconnected. But because we are sharing the thoughts of Roland the Gunslinger, we can see where he's coming from. We can see where the character Jake is and how he feels about his fate, and how they do end up, forming this bond and loving one another. And it's really, really sad, but he's not a complete dick because we are sharing brain space with Roland, and he's kind of letting us in on his thought process.
Which you are very grateful for.
I'm very grateful for that, yeah. So that was basically like the last thing that happened in the last section.
There's a lot of psychosis in here where, like a switch, his empathy just kind of dissipated.
Yes.
Where he no longer became a boy, he became sort of like a mechanical piece of this puzzle. And so that's why it was just, the disconnect kind of happened there. As a very empathetic person, I don't understand that. I could never be a mass murderer, people.
But I think there's something...
Care too much.
I mean, just talking about the entire book up to this point, I've never read it, you've never read it, and there's so many fans of it in the chat right now. There's so many fans around the world. And I did tell you guys last week I was spoiled about what happened in the last chapter of the last book. I asked for that spoiler. And reading the story with that context that I had, I think that there's definitely something deeper than this surface level story. Do you know what I mean? With where the gunslinger, like what his mission is and how he gets to this point, and there's a supernatural aspect to it. There's a mystery about what the Dark Tower is, and we've discussed it being a nexus to different realities, and it might have some kind of effect. The way that time is described in this book is very like supernatural and kind of wishy-washy. So I think there's something going on, and I think that this does not feel like the origin of Roland, even though we get that insight into his youth, but he even says those lines like, then I killed my mother, and we just like don't even go into it. So I think we're going to get in the other books, I'm totally predicting this, I have no idea, this is all speculation, that we're going to get this deeper insight into this character, into that psychology, to make it so that when you go back and reread this book, it will be a more fulfilling experience. I mean, that's why Stephen King even went back and basically revised it.
Himself,
and he said he wrote all of them, all the rest of them, finished the book, went back and revised only this one and thought, you know what, it fits, I'm going to leave it. Which I think means that
it's all tied in together nicely.
It's all tied in together, and it's gonna reward rereading it. So,
Hector, I was absolutely listening to what you were saying, but it
Great.
just dawned on me halfway through your conversation that you're wearing a blazer.
Yes, I am.
You look very smart today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So you look great. Is there a special occasion?
Yeah, I'm
going to
go to a holiday party later, and the special occasion is that I bought this for what was it, a wedding a while ago?
Yeah.
And this is one of my first big boy purchases, blazer, that I bought for myself. A little pricey, and I was like, I'm going to wear the hell out of this thing for any and all opportunities. So I got a kind of a holiday party later, and it's an excuse for me to throw on this blazer.
Oh, you are wearing the hell out of that blazer.
Yes,
the second thing I wanted to bring up was the parallels, almost metaphor of you having this piece of knowledge that is completely altering and changing your perception of these books.
Yes.
And it's kind of making you analyze it in a completely different way. And me having the option to let you tell me or not.
Yes.
And this is
just like
exactly
the part in the book
with Allie, who has the trigger word, just one word, 19, and if she says it, she understands. What is it? The whole truth.
The whole truth after life, the whole everything. Yeah.
And then she goes crazy and has to be shot in the head. What do I do? Do I? Let me know in the comments right now. Do I find out the very, very ending of this whole 7 books? Do I find out the last life-changing part of it? Do I get it completely spoiled for me from Hector right now? Or do
after the show, I won't spoil it for you guys, but after the show, I'll tell you.
Or do I woman up and get through them and not be tempted?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm also Eve in the garden.
A little bit.
You little snake.
I'm a little sneaky snake. That's what I'm doing. I got my little sneaky snake with a secret. I got something for you, Eve. You want to know the secret of the Dark Tower series by Stephen King? I'll tell you. But you're not going to like it.
I won't like it?
It'll make you real mad. Maybe you will like it. Maybe you'll like it a whole lot. I don't know. I'm a little sneaky snake. Take a bite of this apple. It's good.
Is this the honey badger?
That's, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. We've all seen that video.
It's a little bit of a Zach Galifianakis' character in the campaign.
Which is who? Yes. Who are you trying to cast that person
as?
Wrinkle in Time.
The happy medium.
That's it.
The happy medium, right.
Oh, we should also take a moment to cast our characters as well. Even though we know who's going to play them, who else could have played them?
Yes.
It's up to you to figure that out, not having Hollywood tell us. But so now we've realized that the Man in Black, and there's actually a part in that last chapter where you're hearing the Man in Black's dialogue. You're really getting a sense of who this guy is, especially in the last chapter. And even though we are going to do our own fan casting, I can't picture anyone else but Matthew McConaughey.
Me neither.
Oh my God, that casting is practically
I heard his
perfect.
Voice.
Yes.
I really did. I really did.
And he's kind of swanky. Like I can just see him thrusting a hip out when he's talking as well. He just exudes this confidence because he knows everything, and the reader and Roland knows not as much. But I'm kicking it off in the first little chapters parts where immediately a defining role is established.
Yes.
So the Man in Black is in charge. He's the leader. He's the one giving orders. And Roland is almost, even though he was getting Jake to do all these small tasks and he was the one who was in charge or even isolated doing this all on his own, now he's taking orders and he's not fighting it, and it's almost like just natural for him to do so.
Terrifying. Reading that section was terrifying.
Yes.
I went back and forth looking for something that described that the Man in Black actually had supernatural abilities or some kind of mind control, and Stephen King doesn't give it to you. And I'm a real comic booky nerd, and my favorite thing about superhero comics is when they actually define their superpowers.
Yes, that's why X-Men was so cool, because there's so many of them, and you're like, what can you do?
There's like encyclopedias that describe, Cyclops' optic blasts have like this many megatons of force, and Jean Grey can lift this, like it's like down to like the pound. Like they'll describe what a superpower can do and what its limitations are, what its strengths are. And that's not Stephen King's, and that's great, but it's this thing of like, wait, what? And going back and forth, I'm like, why is Roland just, he's like being controlled. And it also adds to this sense as the reader of like, why am I going along with this? Just kill him, kill the guy.
But he even says that, I'm going to kill you. And the Man in Black is like,
but you can gather wood to remember your Isaac. Like, what is that about?
Not only, no, you can't. Oh, no, you won't, but you can't.
You can't.
And we've seen that as well with the end of the last chapter where he's fired off something like 7 shots and none of them hit.
Yeah.
And this is a man whose name is the Gunslinger.
Yes.
And we actually put into assumption that he had his own supernatural ability with aim. He takes one bullet to kill one person, even more than one if he lined it up well enough, like Deadpool, opening shot. So having his expertise almost downplayed and made mockery of. There you go. Bringing out the tarot cards was something that I didn't expect. Stephen King, you managed to just throw a curveball.
And I love that section. And I have to say, the last whole entire chapter of this, The Gunslinger and the Man in Black, is my favorite section of this whole book. And for me, it really tied it together. It made me excited about reading a sequel. It made me, I just thought it was gorgeous writing and such a great, like a great dramatic scene between two great actors. You know, and I kept picturing Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, and I was like, I really hope that this section of the book survives in some capacity to some film, because I want to see these two actors just like sit in a cave for like, you know, a good 20 minutes and just try to get through as much of this as possible.
But I think that they have to, because the whole premise of this book is the man in black, you know, went across the desert and the gunslinger followed.
Yes.
So it's the whole book is the gunslinger following this man, and we have here what we didn't get in the other 2 books that we've had with Alpha Book Club, and that is payoff.
Yeah.
And that is a substantial payoff.
Yes.
We were underwhelmed in the Haunting of House Hill when it was over so fast.
Especially you. And I was too. I was too.
She was snuffed. The whole thing just went out like a candle.
We were underwhelmed at A Wrinkle in Time, especially you, Maude.
Yes.
But me a little bit too. That's why I went and got the second book.
It was just quick, and the book's done.
And this thing was like, let's slow this down a little bit.
It's like you've been waiting this whole book to get this, so we will satiate you with what you want.
It's almost like when the Joker's talking to Batman. You know what I mean? And Batman just want to get something done, and the Joker's like, you don't understand what this is.
Yeah.
Like, this is a relationship. Like, I need you, you need me. This is what happens when an immovable object meets an unstoppable force. That's what it is.
Did you always picture Batman being the gunslinger and the Joker being the Man in Black?
Well, yeah, now I do. Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Now that you've said that, it makes so much sense.
Yes.
This deplorable relationship, which they're forced into. They don't want to, well, the Joker's kind of wanting to manipulate this whole thing, but then again, so is the Man in Black. And they're the manipulators. They're the ones in control, and the other one's forced to be a part of that relationship.
And if we take this over to Tim Burton's Batman, here's my favorite section, one of my favorite sections of this Revelation, Maude, that I just want to read real quick. I want to share it with you. If you will please indulge me, and chat as well, indulge me. They're doing a Harry Potter TV show right now, but with some change in the story. We follow a geeky adult with a lightning bolt logo. Tom Felton is in it as a bad guy. Yeah, that's The Flash. That's true. It's called The Flash Season 3. Yeah. Good one, Theory. F2104. Nice.
I call him Terry because I just assume that it's Terry.
That's good. That's very Australian.
Sorry, let me know if that's not right.
Plaguewind says the tarot deck, again, just talking about that, was heavy foreshadowing for later books. I knew that. And I felt that without even like having that confirmed by anybody else. Without even having that confirmed by a friend, I was the whole section. I was like, I bet you this is all going to happen in these other books.
Well, already we've had the 3, and I'm going to just to pop this note in before you start. But we've already had like the 3 prophecies, so the 3 things that we're looking forward to, which is actually something that I love in Game of Thrones with Daenerys' fate. So I actually love kind of like, oh, when's this going to come true? So we've got that foreshadowing, and now that we've got the 7 cards that he's pulled out, so you're just like, holy hell, there's so much.
Yeah.
I mean, expectation with this foreshadowing. All right, so this passage.
Plaguewind says, I can see Hugh Jackman playing a good Roland. I like that. I like it.
Yeah.
And I think the closest we'll get to that is that new movie Logan coming out, because it looks real sad.
I just saw the first 40 minutes of it.
Did you see the first 40?
Yes, I saw the first. I went to New York on the weekend.
Patrick Stewart cusses a lot. He says the F word a lot.
He swears like a mofo.
I love it. I can't wait. That's so exciting.
And I got 15 minutes with Hugh Jackman. He was so great. So yes, he would. He would be great.
He'd be a great Roland. I have to read this comment as well. Java Book Geek Girl says, if you're familiar with the story of the binding of Isaac from Genesis, which I'm not, the Man in Black's comment, gather wood to remember your Isaac, is pretty heartbreaking. I love that.
Can you tell us more about that? Because I don't.
Just a Cliff Notes version of that story from Genesis.
Just that little bit.
That would be so great. Java Book Geek Girl, she's getting to impart her wisdom and everything.
Thank you.
So here's the section I want to read.
Yes.
The Gunslinger says, you know nothing of me, the Gunslinger said quietly, and the smile faded from the other's lips. I made your father and I broke him, the Man in Black said grimly. I came to your mother as Martin. There's a truth you always suspected, is it not? And took her. She bent beneath me like a willow, although, this may comfort you, she never broke. In any case, it was written, and it was. I am the furthest minion of he who now rules the Dark Tower, and earth has been given into that king's red hand.
You called it.
I called it, and
you called it.
I remember you guys called me on it. I was like, Martin is the Man in Black, yes? And you guys were like,
no,
you idiot. He was Martin.
The whole time.
We take it back to Tim Burton's Batman. The Joker had something to do with Batman's origin, right? He's the one that came through the shadows.
Yes.
He danced with the devil in Pale Moon Night, killed Bruce Wayne's parents.
Yeah.
And there's a similar thing of the Man in Black or Martin or Walter O'Dim having something to do with Roland's origin story. And I just remember reading that section, going back in the last section, reading a young gunslinger, and I'm picturing a young Idris Elba. But for some reason, Martin, I could not picture anybody but a normal aged Matthew McConaughey as Martin, the way he was manipulating Roland's mother, the way he was, doing all that stuff. And I'm like, well, I know that I'm wrong. It's this other character. It's Martin. And then Walter O'Dim is the Man in Black. But when I read that line, I went, oh my God. And thank you to the chat for not telling me I was right when I said that last week. And you guys were like, you're wrong, Hector. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. I made a mistake.
What was it? What was the giveaway?
I don't know what it was, but it was, you know what it was, Maude? It was a feeling. I've never read a Stephen King book before, but I'm really like, I got to give props to this guy. The guy knows what he's doing, because it was this feeling of how, and this very mythic nature of this story made me cast this important character in the Gunslinger's present as well as the Gunslinger's past. It's like Big Fish. How Ewan McGregor, he loved that one woman, and then everybody else, every other woman in his life was that one woman, which is why the witch was Helena Bonham Carter, which is why the other woman was Helena Bonham Carter, like that kind of thing. We're like, very literary, like, I don't know. I thought it was fascinating, so yeah. Oh,
here we go. Java Book Girl, Book Geek Girl is breaking it down for us.
Okay, great.
God, to test the faith of Abraham, tells him to sacrifice his son Isaac. He got as far as gathering the wood and laying it on Isaac before God provided a lamb for the sacrifice. Oh my gosh,
so he says,
God's
remember
quite
your
manipulative.
Isaac. So he's saying, remember your Isaac, remember
That's a mind
Jake.
fuck.
Remember Jake, how you sacrificed Jake to get to me. That's what he says. When he says, I'm going to kill you, because no, you're not. And in fact, go gather some wood. Remember that little boy that you sacrificed? What a dick.
But it's also playing into this fact that they both understand Genesis far more than you and I do. But that's a common similarity that they've got that bases those two characters.
Here's another section I loved. At the end of section 4 of this last chapter. Hear me now, Roland, son of Stephen. Would you hear me? Yes. And so the Man in Black began to speak. And then you go into the next section, section 5. But when I read, hear me now, Roland, son of Stephen, I went, Roland, son of Stephen. Stephen King? Stephen King is with a PH, but Stephen's with a V. But really, like, meta,
you reckon?
Absolutely.
No, you're reading into that.
Roland is the son of Stephen King. Come on, he is. All of these fictional characters are the sons and daughters of Stephen King. No. And we know that this is like a metafiction, that other Stephen King novels will somehow tie into this. Like, we know that. Like, it's like his, his grand operatic. I think there's something there. Come on.
Okay, you got Martin.
But that's a stretch?
Martin.
Okay.
I'll give you that one
10.
because you nailed it. You got it, and I'm impressed by that. But are you getting a feeling about Stephen?
It's a feeling.
What is this? Have you ever done a tarot read?
No, but I did own a tarot deck once.
What did you do with it?
I think I gave it away because my aunt, who I was like living with at the time with my family, and my aunt, it was like my aunt's house. She was like, I don't like that. And so I was like, all right, whatever, I'll get rid of it. Like, some people are really spooked by tarot decks.
Yeah.
But I was like, it's fine, whatever.
My friends learnt to tap into whatever it is, and she's tarot reading now as well. So I was kind of interested to the 7 cards. I usually just do 3. But it's really defining the multitude of powers that the Man in Black is capable of, and the fact that that's one of the first things that he wants to do with Roland. Quick tarot read, let's go. Should we go over the cards?
Yeah, let's go over the cards. Yeah, we can. Here we go. You guys got some nice little things right there. So we have the Hanged Man is like strength, and we see that with his sacrifice with Jake, right? And some of these cards, once he pulls them, like, the book kind of explains it to us a little bit.
Other
but
times he's like, I want answers. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, but why are you doing this?
And I feel the subtext is wait till book 4. Like, I feel like Stephen King's like, you're going to see this play out, but later, just like the drawing of the 3 kind of a thing. There was a card of the Sailor, which again had something to do with Jake. I forget how.
Note the clear brow, the hairless cheeks, the wounded eyes. He drowns Gunslinger, and no one throws out the line. The boy Jake. What a bastard.
Yeah, he looks up and goes, the boy Jake.
Yeah, the Gunslinger winced and said nothing. What a kick in the dick.
Kick in the dick.
The prisoner, the Man in Black said. It's a trifle upsetting, isn't he? And that's all he said.
We get nothing, right? Yeah, because Roland is reacting to each one of these. Courtney says that she can teach us tarot.
Yes.
Courtney, do you have a tarot deck on
you?
I
always pick.
Oh
really?
My gosh.
I don't have one with me.
Oh, what's the dude with the knives through his body? I always pick.
That's the 10 of Swords.
Yes, I always pick the 10 of
We're going to get Courtney a mic, and she's going to come and join us, and she's going to explain
Or
some tarot
talking to
stuff
my
us.
tits, either way.
Amazing. Amazing. Yes.
Oh, got your mic.
Talking to our chests. Do that. We're setting that up. Okay, keep going through. We got the Lady of the Shadows.
Okay, and what did you say? The Lady of the Shadows. Does she look two-faced to you? Oh, I should do your accent. Does she look two-faced to you, Gunslinger? She is. Two faces at least.
Just do a voice of like...
she broke the blue plate.
Like an animated koala bear. Like, just do that voice. Okay, great.
What it should be or what it is in the movie?
What it is in that movie. Courtney, come on. Are you all set? Okay, great.
Hi, this is weird.
It's Courtney, everybody. Yay!
Courtney!
In the chat.
Yeah.
Yes, Alpha
And then here
Courtney.
on
You
camera.
can see her in the chat who
So-
says, I can teach
What
some
do you want to
tarot.
know
So
about
you
tarot?
know tarot.
I do.
Are you like a licensed tarot card reader?
No,
How does
but,
that work?
I
Did you
started
tap in?
writing a manga years ago, and there was a whole
Tarot
motif of
Very
tarot. So I
cool.
started studying it. I'm like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And I just really liked it ever since.
I love the mythology of it and the characters and stuff. That's why I like every time
Yeah.
tarot's brought up.
There's
But
different. Is it usually cups, the swords, or is that the standard tarot?
Okay,
I
so
think
the way tarot is, there's the major arcana and then the minor arcana. So the major arcana is things like death, the sun, the moon, the world, all the big themes.
Yeah.
And then for the smaller themes, you have the pip cards, which are the swords, cups, wands, and pentacles usually, or coins.
Yes,
this
yes.
all
And
feels very
that's-
medieval to me. I can't relate to a lot of
is.
stuff. I wish it was things like the cell phone, the like I can't.
I'm sure there's some modern tarot deck
Okay,
out there
great, that they've translated
that has
it? Great.
something like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I always get swords and cups. What's happening?
Okay, I know swords is related to air and intellect. And then cups are usually related to emotions and
Oh.
healing.
Oh.
I am a Pisces, which means I'm creative and very emotional. So maybe that's I've got a cup full of emotion. But again,
I'm a
there is a
Libra.
parallel with.
I'm a Libra, which means balance.
That's because it scales.
Yes.
It's
Like
scales,
you
yeah.
don't need to know anything about that. That's
Yeah.
physically what it is. I could be like,
Yeah.
oh, fish. It means swim.
Well, if you're gonna get all fancy schmancy with it, Libra's
Yeah.
like creative, but can work really well with people. Libra's one of the most compatible. Every time they try to match the things. What, Courtney? What's your sign?
I am a Capricorn.
Ooh.
So
that
I'm the
mean?
goat, I'm the stable one, I am the earth.
But the goat's the symbol of the devil.
Maybe.
And
It is
in
one of the
doom.
tarot cards. So speaking of which, were there any particular cards in the book
Yeah.
that you guys wanted to ask
Well,
about?
we've got him right here. Plague Wind is
Oh,
reminding
look
us
at
too
that.
that he pulls the sailor. Does the sailor? Is that a tarot
That
card?
is not
No.
a typical
So
tarot
it's
card.
not a typical one.
No.
That
The
one's made up.
prisoner. Is that a typical one?
Nope.
Death?
The Lady of Shadows. Death.
Death is.
I,
Tell us
I
about
think
death.
I
is
feel I know what
card
death is.
13, and it's
Is that why it's an unlucky number?
possibly 13 has a lot of connotations
Yes.
that I don't know about, but other people do. So
Interesting.
the death card, usually in like movies, it'll symbolize death, but in tarot, it's really more about the closing of one door and the opening of another. It's some kind of life change.
Interesting.
So harmless.
Yeah.
Yes and
Almost
no.
growing, which is the
It
opposite
depends,
of death.
because in this metaphysical story of the Dark Tower. By the way, have you read the Dark Tower yet?
I have
Any of it yet?
not.
Well, now that
I
there's
have
tarot in it, are you maybe a
I
little more
might have
intrigued?
to. I might have to.
It's you're giving us some good insight, because to try to make it relate to the story of Roland in the Dark Tower, when the Man in Black pulls death, he says, "Not yet for you," which I think means that we're not going to get closure on the story yet,
no
and it could
way.
also mean that Roland might never get closure. He might get closure at the end of this story, the closing of one book, or the closing of one door, the opening of another, and then you just like read the next book. Like
Yeah.
it could mean a couple different things, but it might be as serious or not as serious as death. Again, this ending of a story is as serious to a fictional character as death is to us, because that's literally the end of, right?
Wow.
Don't blow your mind just now, Mom?
Yes. You've done that a couple
wow.
of times now.
I
I'm still
have.
stuck on the relationship
And
between
then-
Batman and the Joker.
Right, and then the tower.
The
Is
tower.
that atypical?
Yes.
What?
The tower
No.
is the tower is the absolute worst card you can get in the tarot.
What?
It is the sign of
I thought it was
disaster.
a fake one for this story.
No, it's real. It's disaster. It's everything's crumbling, and the tower is
Fascinating.
the only card in the deck where it means almost the same thing reversed or right side up. Like it's bad either way. You don't want the tower. Like that's
Old
the
mate.
absolute worst card in the whole deck.
I wonder if Stephen King did research on tarot decks, learned this, and was like,
Or
I can
Oh, had
I'm
a
sure he
reading.
did for something like
yeah,
that.
and
In
had
New
a reading,
Orleans
and
or
somebody was
something
like,
when
the
he was
tower.
22.
And he's like, what is this? I'm gonna
I've got to
a story
write about it.
Interesting.
I'd love to know if that's
There's a lot of
true
levels
or
to this. There's a lot of
not.
meta levels.
Yeah,
so
well, that's why
interesting.
I love it as a motif as a writer, because there's so much symbolism and so much you can play with, and it's so open to interpretation, because what I might interpret in a tarot reading by a layout might be completely different from what actually happened or what someone else's interpretation would be.
Yeah.
It's very
That was another thing that about tarot that I think was always interesting that I learned when I learned a little bit about it is the layout is just as important as what the cards pulled are.
And where they're facing. So like normal way up or upside down, which can completely reverse what the card stands for.
With each layout, the position of the card tells you what that card represents, whether it be past, present, future, what people think of you, what people think of yourself, depends on the layout. Not all readers use reverse cards. Some of them do. It's a little more advanced.
Yeah.
But
that's fascinating. Real quick, Plague Wind in the chat says that is the hint of who the man in black is serving is this tower card. And the whole idea of it is him serving whoever's in charge of the Dark Tower. And Java Book Geek Girl says, y'all are so lucky to have Courtney dropping tarot knowledge bombs. We are.
I just happen to be in the studio.
Because for sure, I think you and I both, Maude, were like, okay, the tower, that's going to be a fake one. And then you were like, no, it's the one.
Yeah, I know. We both just lost it.
That's like one of the two real cards that I see on here.
The last card that the man in black pulls is life. And then he says, also not for you, Roland. Is that an actual card? Is that a common one?
Does he describe what that card looks like?
Maude is checking it right now.
Yes, I have it right here. The sun rose in a luminous blue sky. Cupids and sprites sported around it. Below the sun was a great red field upon which it shone. Roses or blood?
So normally that card's called the sun. And that's one of the best cards you can get. It's about life and birth and being productive. And it's a relatively good card. So I wonder, based on descriptions, like are these... The cards that aren't literally here, like is it actually something else?
The Sailor, the Ladies of the Shadow, the Lady of the Shadow.
It might depend on.
The Lady of the Shadow sounds like a prophecy.
That
sounds he puts his trust
like,
in women.
If I had to guess, I would guess High Priestess.
Okay.
That's kind of what it sounds like to me.
Go on.
That word.
Yes, go on.
High Priestess is usually the mystical woman kind of figure. Is there a character like that?
There was a mystical woman who was like evil earlier in the story. There's potential. There's the succubus. There's other mystical women that he's probably going to encounter later. And then his mother is a character that he himself admits to killing, and then we just brush over that. He's like, then I killed my mother.
She broke the blue plate. No. Okay.
No,
cool.
not that
She's
one.
got two faces.
Okay, and then how do you describe? How's the sailor described?
The sailor.
That one I think was in the dark quite a lot. Note the clear brow, the hairless cheeks, the wounded eyes. He drowns the gunslinger. No one throws out the line.
Someone drown? No, I don't recall anything that's like drowning. Nope.
Okay.
Interesting.
The prisoner.
The prisoner. What's the prisoner described like?
The fire cast an uneasy flickering shadow over the face of the ridden man, making it seem to move and writhe in wordless terror.
No, nothing like that. But it could be that maybe the exact cards didn't suit what King needed, and he made up some of his own.
Yeah, and he might be describing it in kind of a vague way, if it's an actual real card, to suit his story, kind of a thing, you know.
Very interesting. Oh, the Hanged Man, I believe.
That is a regular one.
That's a regular one.
That's a real one.
What's that one about?
I think that one's about like being stuck, because he's not hanged by the neck, he's hanged upside down.
He's stuck in this book, I'm telling you.
It's kind of like being trapped and not knowing what to do or where to go.
Yeah.
But also sometimes just about letting go of that problem and just letting yourself hang and relax and let things come to you naturally.
In this one it says strength. It says, yet here in conjunction with nothing else, it signifies strength, not death. You, gunslinger, are the hanged man, plodding ever onward towards your goal over the pits of How did you say that one?
I don't know.
And strength is a card.
Strength is a card.
Yeah, it's about like the force of will and being able to control things mentally and emotionally, not just like physically overpowering something.
So if he's saying that the gunslinger is represented by the hanged man, he then places the tower card over the hanged man card.
It sounds like he doesn't know what's going to happen to him, but it sounds like something really bad is going to happen to him.
Covering the hanged man completely with the tower card. And the gunslinger says, what does that mean? The man in black did not answer. What does that mean? He asked raggedly. The man in black did not answer. God damn you, no answer. Then be damned to you. And the seventh card we've just established was it's sun in the actual deck, but it's life here. Oh, that's fascinating.
It's really interesting. A bunch of layers on layers on layers.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Courtney, for dropping that
I'm
knowledge.
glad I happen to be here and I
That's
can
so
help
cool.
you guys.
That is fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
That's awesome. That's so great. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to keep talking about this
Okay,
book.
I
We
will
got a
get
little bit
back
more.
to my job running the
You
chat.
got it. Thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome.
Have a chat with her in chat if you've got any more
Yeah.
questions about that, because that was just the wealth of knowledge that I think we've all
Yes.
grown from completely.
And
I'd
again,
love to do another tarot.
It feeds into my theory that this book is going to be more rewarding after you read the whole series. Go back and read this again.
I don't
Do you know
think
what I
I'm
mean?
going to
Like,
do that. I'm going to be
yeah.
really honest with you. I'm not the kind of
Okay.
person that will read a book just to read it again.
If that movie comes out and blows me away, like I'm gonna go back and
I
definitely
think
check
with
this
that
out.
caliber of actors that are going to be in
Yes.
this is going to be hopefully the script does it justice, but I
Yeah.
think it could be quite phenomenal. So we obviously know that this is going towards the tower, which we suspect is the nexus of all universes.
Yes.
Something is amiss with this tower, though.
Yes.
I don't like the tower. I don't like what it represents.
Yep.
I don't like what it means. I don't like that it's shrouded in mystery. And now I certainly don't like it knowing that it is the worst card that you can pull in a tarot deck, regardless of which way you pull it out.
I know.
What is your feeling about the tower?
Well, I that wasn't the thing that the impression that really stayed with me after reading this last section didn't have that much to do with the tower, but more this crazy metaphysical journey that the man in black takes Roland through. And then he starts describing to him the universe. And I thought it was the craziest, coolest, most sci-fi, like Cosmos, hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson or Carl Sagan, like the way he describes it. And I want to read a little bit of it before we move on to the next, to kind of that ending section that I think is a great ending, and we can really unpack that. Plaguewind says, Courtney dropping was great. Yeah, thank you so much again, Courtney. That was awesome.
That was
So here's
great.
the section I want to talk about.
Yes.
Of course you don't. You've reached the limits of your ability to comprehend, but never mind, that's beside the point. What is the point then? Can you tell which character?
Yes,
which?
that's really good.
The greatest mystery the universe offers is not life, but size. Size encompasses life, and the tower encompasses size. The child, who is most at home with wonder, says, Daddy, what is above the sky? And the father says, the darkness of space. The child, what is beyond space? The father, the galaxy. The child, beyond the galaxy? The father, another galaxy. The child, beyond the other galaxies? The father, no one knows. You see, size defeats us. For the fish, the lake in which he lives is the universe. What does the fish think when he is jerked up by the mouth through the silver limits of existence into a new universe where the air drowns him and the light is blue in madness, where huge bipeds with no gills stuff it into a suffocating box and cover it with wet weeds to die? Or one might take the tip of a pencil and magnify it. One reaches the point where a stunning realization strikes home. The pencil tip is not solid. It is composed of atoms, which whirl and revolve like a trillion demon planets. What seems solid to us is actually only a loose net held together by gravity. Viewed at their actual size, the distances between these atoms might become leagues, gulfs, aeons. The atoms themselves are composed of nuclei and revolving protons and electrons. One may step down further to subatomic particles, and then to what? Tachyons? Nothing? Of course not. Everything in the universe denies nothing. To suggest an ending is the one absurdity. If you fell outward to the limit of the universe, would you find a board fence and signs reading dead end? No. You might find something hard and rounded, as the chick must see the egg from the inside. And if you should peck through that shell or find a door, what great and torrential light might shine through your opening at the end of space? Might you look through and discover our entire universe is but part of one atom on a blade of grass? Might you be forced to think that by burning a twig, you incinerate an eternity of eternities, that existence rises not to one infinite, but to an infinity of them? Perhaps you saw what place our universe plays in the scheme of things as no more than an atom and a blade of grass. Could it be that everything we can perceive, from the microscopic virus to the distant Horsehead Nebula, is contained in one blade of grass that may have existed for only a single season in an alien time flow? What if that blade should be cut off by a scythe? When it begins to die, would the rot seep into our own universe and our own lives, turning everything yellow and brown and desiccated? Perhaps it's already begun to happen. We say the world has moved on. Maybe we really mean that it has begun to dry up.
Wow. How was that?
I read that a couple times because I was just like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It is like a force-fed science perspective.
To a character who knows nothing of
Nothing.
what he's talking about. So I feel like that's to us. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's the man in black is talking to us, our reader, going, dude, are you reading my mind right now? What's
Yeah.
messing with us?
This is how
effing
big
with
it
us.
can be, and this is how small it can become. Oh my goodness. What I can't wait for, especially after your reading, hearing your reading, if that whole passage makes it into the movie.
It won't, but get some of it in there,
I want it
please.
to, because that will be the monologue that so many actors
Yeah.
will use.
Oh, if I were an actor, if I like,
I know. I was listening to that. It's
I
like,
would be grabbing that monologue.
That's how you become a star
with that southern
one.
accent. Oh, it's so great. And then the last bit that we have to talk about is that when the man in black continues to mess with him and really tells him nothing but tells him everything and says, goodbye, Gunslinger, my part is done now. The chain is still in your hands. Wear it doesn't wrap itself around your neck.
The hangman hangs by the feet.
Roland awakes in a ruins and he finds himself 10 years older. And there's like the remains of a man in black, like the skeleton maybe.
Yes.
And he takes like the jawbone, puts it in his back pocket. He's like, I don't know if that was really him. Is the man in black immortal? We don't know.
Well, he said he did. He mentioned it. You are near immortal, like me, Gunslinger.
Yeah.
So there's identifying that there is a near immortality that they both harness. But obviously the man in black has a superior strength behind it.
Yeah, the dark came down, the world moved on. The Gunslinger waited for the time of the drawing, the next book, and dreamed his long dreams of the dark tower to which he would someday come at dusk and approach, winding his horn to do some unimaginable final battle. 10 years pass. And again, it's that weird like...
I don't like it when they do that. I want to know about that 10 years.
Yeah, and I think that maybe we got a tease of something that it might happen later at the end of this book, and maybe in those 10 years are going to be explored in the next book, and maybe his memory is wiped, and it's, because again, I feel like the Gunslinger, the fact that he doesn't know how he gets to where he is and how he got to that desert, his memory's being wiped, or something's happening, or the man in black is manipulating him. And
so after this last chapter, do you feel that the man in black is still purveying evil, or just a greater being? Like, because we've always been very kind of impartial between where we stand with who the bad guy is and who the good guy is. It's been very, very grey.
Yes.
What's your thought now after that?
I mean, Plaguewind says it was a very 2001 type scene, that one that I read. You can carry a galaxy between your fingers, says Thierry, F2104. I don't know how I feel yet, because I feel like when you get to that level, good and evil goes away. When you get to the level of a god, something like Dr. Manhattan and Watchmen, they just become so disconnected and they're like, well, this is nothing to me. It's ants, squabbling with each other.
That's why he's the villain of Rebirth.
What's that?
That's why he's now the villain of Rebirth.
That's why he's now the villain of Rebirth. Yeah.
I didn't know if that was spoiling.
No, it's not a spoiler.
Okay, good.
Everybody
good.
knows that.
Yay! I did good with the comic thing.
Yay! Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Good pull. Deep cut. Deep cut.
Thanks, guys.
But that's a perfect point. It's like, is the man in black a villain, or is he somebody who just knows more? Is he a fisherman on a lake who just fishes a fish out of the thing because they're a part of a larger universe? That's what I keep thinking too. And the fact that he keeps hinting that he's working for whoever's in charge of the Dark Tower, what is that, Satan? What is that, God? How much bigger idea can you get?
Well, I mean, we know that God is real because they keep making references of the Bible with passages. So who knows? Who knows? Do you have a book, a geek girl is saying again, with the context, there will be light. And I know in there, he says it, he announces it, proclaims it, there will be light, and there was.
Yes.
So it is, even if he's not God, he's God-like.
Absolutely.
And that is, God-fearing.
Absolutely, yeah.
With God-like, yeah.
God-like, but again, the man in black could just be a magician, could just be somebody like the Ancient One in Doctor Strange who just did this to Roland and sent him on and sent him on a thing where he's freaking out above the earth and he's like, is this freaking you out yet? And he's like, yeah, make it stop. And then he goes, let there be light. And then Roland gets, slammed back. I saw a lot of little Doctor Strange, Ancient One in that scene. So he could just
I feel like a lot of comics have been borrowing from a lot of things in here. Or maybe it borrowed from the comics. We don't know.
Are you going to be reading the rest of the series?
That is a great question.
Are you satisfied?
Everyone who has read the first book, we should do a little lap. Yes or no? We'll be reading the rest of them. I will, yes.
I will as well.
Yeah. Knowing the ending, you will?
Oh, yeah. That made me more interested. Before my friend told me what he told me, I was on the boat of like, I'm gonna wait for this movie to come out, see how the world, kind of visualizes itself, see how the actors pull it off, and then maybe I'll read the second book and the third, and you kind of go from there. But now I'm like, I think I want to read all the books before even the film comes out.
Courtney, what did the chat say? Am I asking Hector to spoil it for me, or am I smooth sailing?
Yes. What happened?
Did the chat say that I should ask Hector and get it spoiled for me? Or am I smooth sailing and not being interrupted, not being defiled?
Power through it.
Power through it.
Without
Powering
getting
through.
spoiled? Okay.
Is everyone else going to read the series?
At some point.
It's unanimous.
I know like what Hector is. I know the ending. That being said, I'd rather read the book before I see the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rereading
You're
it?
rereading it?
I actually have been making friends talking about the fact that I'm reading this book, and it lights up a room. And
So you've read the whole series. Do you think I should tell Maude like the thing that I know about the last chapter of the last book? Or do you think
19! 19!
You think it's? Oh no, she has it. Okay, here it is.
You'll love it. Just read through it.
Okay. All right.
Great.
All right. 7 books.
Wow.
Well, that is it. That is the Dark Tower, the Gunslinger book 1, which we have done for Alpha Book Club. That is done right now. It's time to figure out what the next book will be. We are putting up a 2-minute clock. We have teased it at the top of the show. The poll has been up all day. I have cast my vote. I've retweeted it, so hopefully people have cast their vote.
I didn't vote yet.
Go quickly, vote.
Oh, I can vote.
The books again are Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone
The Sorcerer's Stone
by J.K. Rowling, and there it is. Oh, it's how enticing is that one? And Catalyst, a Rogue One story. That one's by James Luceno, who's done a bunch of previous Star Wars books that are now legends and not canon. So it's great they're coming back. 90 seconds. Click those votes.
Dang,
Do it right now. Retweet it.
I think I know who the winner's going to be.
Is it what percentage is the winner right now?
43%.
43%?
Come on, get some Catalyst in
Oh,
there.
come on. I'm wearing Star Wars. This is the time
Come
to do
on,
it. Rogue
I got
One's coming out this
Pikachu.
month. We can
Pikachu.
Okay, Pikachu has nothing to do with Star Wars. They're not I don't care how
Debatable.
metaphysical this is all getting. That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
A Pikachu comes out of a death ball. No, not the same. No, that's the best I got. That's the best I got.
We will be reading this all of January. So if whatever we find out right now, we've got Christmas to read
I feel like after people watch Rogue One in theaters this weekend,
yes,
they're gonna want to have changed their vote.
Yeah.
So that's why I think people
we need
are
some
like,
more foreshadowing.
We need some foreshadowing. But what were you saying about the holiday break, Maude?
Well, once we decide what our January book is going to be, we can all request this for our Christmas lists.
Oh yeah.
So mum and dad who have no idea what to buy us.
Or you use your gift cards that you're inevitably going to get because people are lazy and they're not creative. They're going to hand you gift cards to Barnes & Noble. Go get it.
Yeah. Or Dimmicks if you're in Australia.
Or what? What's in Australia? Gimmicks?
Dimmicks.
Dimmicks?
Dimmicks.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dimmicks. You guys watching in
we don't have Barnes &
Down Under?
Noble in Australia.
Oh no?
No.
We used to
15 seconds.
We used to have Borders up here and then it went away and they're like all of
The
our
whole Borders. And they used to have 3-story Borders and it used to be a real thing.
I know, they were nice.
Oh my
5
gosh.
seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2,
You can vote on Twitter.
1.
Big surprise here. Ready Player One.
It's happening. Ready Player One, Ernest Cline's book.
Wow.
Oh, I'm excited to read this for the 3rd time.
Great. I've never read it. Never read it.
You haven't?
No.
What?
I haven't read it.
I read this book
I was waiting for the movie. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really easy read. Very different to this one, which took me way too long to read because I was reading every sentence 3 times. Ready Player One, I read it in a day and a half. I was gifted it, I think, for a birthday present in 2013.
Cool.
Yep. It's going to be fantastic. I'm actually so
gosh,
excited.
I'm sorry. Happy belated birthday.
That was. And I'm a Pisces, which we established, and that's in March.
Yes. Well, happy belated for 2013.
Fantastic.
So we're reading up to chapter 11, so we have to finish after chapter 10? Okay.
Yep. So the first 10 chapters of this book, that's going to be exciting. We are always looking for our next book as well. So if you're a little disappointed that this wasn't the one that you wanted, because after all, that is 30, 40, 50, 54%. Oh, fuck. 50. Yep, no, wait, the opposite. 57% of people didn't vote for this. So if you have a recommendation, hit us up. You can catch us on Twitter @Nerdist or @Geek&Sundry, or you can join Team Alpha. And if there's a hashtag for that one, Alpha Book Club. Let us know your recommendations. We love hearing them. That's it. I'm glad you picked that up and that we're all on the hashtag brigade. Great. I'm Maude Garrett.
I'm Hector Navarro.
Yes, you are. We're going to see you all again next year, starting January 4th. So be here, 4th of January.
And be caught up if you want.
What is that, like 3.5 weeks to read it?
Something like that.
To get
yeah.
started, first 10
Get
chapters?
those first chapters.
That's
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Man, I've been trying to do a lot of maths in the last 2 minutes. Shouldn't do that. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye. Happy holidays.